Okay, good morning, Gail. Sorry, I'm not there. So I just want to give you a quick explanation of what I would like you to do this lesson and kind of talk you through the start of the new task. I know some of you have drafts to finish for your song analysis, but you need to do these first two activities and then you have the rest of the lesson to work on that. Or if you finish your draft and you're ready, you can go on to the other activities in the booklet. What we're going to be working on for the rest of this term and a little bit into next term is working to promote charities and their work. So we're going to advocate for them, and we're going to talk more about what the word advocate means. But for today's lesson, I'd like you to start looking at some examples of these texts to see if we can figure out what they're trying to achieve. What's their purpose? You're going to end up producing a text, so it might be a website or a newsletter article or a speech or a social media page. All sorts of different things are allowable, and you're going to promote a charity or an organization that is a not-for-profit. So that is all of that. We'll go through assessment criteria later. What I'd like you to start off with is to grab a highlighter and have a look at activity 1, understanding what advocacy is. So this information I want you to read through, and you can read through individually with your headphones in or together in pairs. And I want you to highlight the key things that an advocacy text needs. So advocacy is all about persuading people to agree with you. So when you have the picture of the starving child, it's there for a reason. When you have catchphrases and stuff to convince you to actually participate in a walkathon or something, it's there to make you actually want to do it. So this information on this page, I'd like you to read through and highlight some of the key things that you think are important. And then we're going to go into an example. So the second activity is a very simple letter that you might write to the council, and I want you to read it through. It's quite short, and then I'd like you to try and figure out its purpose. Why did this person produce this letter? What were they trying to achieve? What are they trying to tackle? Second thing is the audience. Who's the person who was meant to receive this letter? What's it about? Third thing is context. What was happening in this person's world that made them want to write this letter? Why was this letter a big deal? Then I want you to see if you can find any language techniques. What type of language have they used? Formal, informal? Is it factual? Is it detailed? Does it have opinion? Do they use questions? Do they use statements? Write down anything you can think of. The last one is form. So what style has it come in? Is it written? Is it oral? Is it does it have like a nice letterhead? Is it just really simple? Is it short, long? That kind of stuff. Those are the first two activities that I need you to work through today. If you finish, then I'd like you to move on to activity 3, which is to listen to a speech by Emma Watson. Hopefully you know who that is, but your first task, if you don't, is to research who it is and write down some notes. So that should take about 2 minutes. Then I'd like you to Google the He for She campaign, and I'd like you to see what that is. Again, 2 minutes, and I'd like you to write some notes. The next thing is you're going to listen to the speech by Emma Watson that she gave as part of this campaign a few years ago. It's a very famous speech. As you're listening to it on YouTube or watching it, I'd like you to have the wording of it in front of you, and I'd like you to highlight anything that really stands out for you. Once you've done that, and it's quite long, it'll take a little while, I want you to work through trying to find the purpose and the audience, the context, the language, the form of that speech. Now, I've given you some more pointers here because this one's a bit harder. I want you to see if you can find out why she gave the speech. Google it if you can't figure it out. Have a look at who's listening in the crowd. Where is she giving it? Have a think about who else is listening to it. Then have a think about what's happening in society that made her want to give this speech. What's happening with gender rights, that sort of stuff. Then I have some examples that I'd like you to see if you can find. And lastly, I'd like you to see if you can figure out the answer to these questions. That will take a long